Welcome everybody, Magic Man Chad. Thank you so much for tuning in here. I'm on my way out to East Bumble something Egypt out in Utah here. Gonna go meet up with a friend of mine, Craig Campbell, master magician. Really excited to go hang out with him. We're gonna tell some stories, talk, and do some magic. So stick around. Be right back. All right, Magic Man Chad here. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am very excited. I've got my very good friend Craig Campbell here, fellow master magician as well. How long have you been doing magic?
Oh, about 33 years now. 30, right around 34 years.
How long have you been practicing magic?
Of those 34 years, I'd say 30 of them.
Right on. That's awesome. How long did you get started?
How did I get started?
What age were you?
Oh, boy, 15, 14, 15, right in that area.
You saw a magic trick, didn't you?
My brother was a clown, and so I saw him doing a lot of tricks when I was younger. I also had a neighbor that was a magician, and he always said as soon as I could show him that was really interested in magic, he'd finally teach me. To this day, he hasn't taught me. But how I really got into it was a very good friend of mine that I met in ninth grade. I walked into a classroom, and he was in the back of the class rolling a quarter across his fingers, and I was just totally mesmerized with it, and introduced myself, and ended up he was a magician, and became his lighting crew, sound crew, stage crew, everything crew. And through that, I started learning stuff, and I did the opposite of what a lot of magicians do. I didn't start with the small things. I started with the big stage props and box tricks, and learned backwards. And
wow.
So
Okay.
it actually took me a little bit longer to learn a lot of the close-ups things,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, that's how I started, was with the big box tricks, and got hooked and been doing it ever since.
Right. Who are your biggest influences that you've had?
David Copperfield, right back on the wall there.
Right there, okay.
David Copperfield, Siegfried and Roy, Lance Burton.
Never heard any of those guys.
Those were the ones that I saw a lot on TV when I was a kid. Magic of the Stars.
How old were you when you first saw Siegfried and Roy?
Oh, I was probably, I'd say it was Magic of the Stars 77, so I was probably about 7 years old when I first saw
That's
him.
when I remember. I was blown away, and they're like all those tigers and stuff. I was like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked with tigers?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I don't see how some of those guys do that stuff. Because let me tell you something. When you get a tiger, and it's like I wanted to do a trick, and I'm like, I want to get a tiger, all this stuff, and they're expensive. You get at the handlers, all this stuff. And when I went down to Vegas, and I'm not going to say their name or anything like that, but I went down to go see his tiger, man. He's like, don't show fear. This tiger's head is seriously bigger than my shoulders, like this thing. Its teeth are like this. Its paws. I mean, I'm 6'4.5". I mean, I could have seriously taken both of my hands like this.
Wow.
And it was just huge. And when you bring up the meat like this, and it comes up and it stands up on its back legs and puts, it's looking down at you, and you're like, don't show fear. I'm like, this thing could just eat me, right? It's like, I don't know, man. I was like, I don't see how they do that crap. It's like, I'll just sit here quietly just wetting myself. It's like, that's when I said, no animals, man, no animals.
Yeah, about the closest I've come is stuffed animals.
Yeah, that's all I work with. They're the safest, man. I don't even do bunnies. I think when my kids were really little, we did this, it was at church. It was one of those talent shows or whatever, and everyone expected me to do a magic show and stuff. So what I did is I went up and I purposely screwed up everything. And all my kids, they were real little, and so I had all my kids come up, and they were showing them how the trick was done.
Mm-hmm.
They were performing it right, and I was looking like the goof. So it was pretty cool. So did just the opposite on it. So, but my daughter pulled out her bunny. And I remember I had to stuff down there because it kept trying to come up. And I'm like keeping my hand on this thing. Not yet. I was like, come do this trick now. So then she pulls it out, and I was like, get it out of here. But
very cool.
Plus, when they defecate where they're not supposed to, it's always. Although Johnny Thompson made it always funny, but I'm not gonna do with that one and stuff. So did it start? I can't see. There it is. Okay, good. All right. What which some of your favorite magic that you like to start off with?
Probably for just layman, when I do like the Comic Con and things like that, this is probably one of the things that gets people. And even when I try it, I don't know why, because it's so simple. And I've come to the conclusion that
the simple ones are always the best ones. I love it.
The ones that cost you thousands of dollars, people don't remember.
Yeah.
And it's something like this that people actually remember. And, you're showing that the coin, and it's a solid glass, and, you take it and just something like that, simple, and have that coin end up in the glass is what brings people to my booth.
I love that.
And, you and I look at that, and it's obvious how it's done.
Oh,
but yet
that's
the
fun part of it, though.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm much like you. In fact, I'm just looking up here, and your pad looks so much better than mine here. So I'm just going to use this real quick because it looks good, and this will look really good on film here. So just so you guys see this will be heads, and I put a piece of tape on there that's tails, because I know sometimes that doesn't show up. So I did that on all of these, so they all have heads and tails. So there's tails. I'll flip these over, and this will be heads. So altogether, how many coins do I have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Perfect. Now, I myself personally, I love starting with this trick. If I have, maybe 100 people or so, and or less, more where they're gathered around where they could see this. I love doing this trick, and it's more along the lines of, hey, I'm just doing this just to see how well you guys pay attention. Kind of like, here we go. So I learned this from an incredible magician out in Indiana by the name of Jim, and for the life of me, as soon as I said that, I can't remember his last name, but he taught me this out there, and I've just fell in love with this trick, and I've been using it ever since, stuff. So the story goes, I have two very dumb, not so bright bank robbers by the name of Bubba and Vern, okay? And they're walking down the street, and they see a bank just sitting there. Two security guards. I'm going to turn these bags to the money, of course. And there's 6 bags of money just sitting there. So Bubba says to Vern, hey, I say we take it. So they open up the doors. Bubba comes over, grabs a bag of money. So Vern grabs one. Bubba grabs one. Vern grabs one. Bubba grabs one. Vern's about to, but they hear footsteps. So as quickly as they come, they put everything back. Now, real quick, seeing how well you're paying attention, was it heads up or tails down?
Right now?
How was it set up first?
All heads.
Oh, that was a trick question. Okay. All right. So here comes security guards. They come walking through. All looks well. They go back to their soaps and donuts. Okay. Coast is clear. So Bubba comes over, grabs a bag of money. Vern grabs one. Bubba grabs one. Vern grabs one. Bubba grabs one. Vern's about to grab it, but Bubba quickly snags it up. So real quick, seeing how well you're paying attention, who has the extra bag of money, Bubba or Vern?
Bubba.
Oh, this is going to be a fun show, because remember what I said in the beginning? Not too bright. They got outside and they actually left all 6 bags of money still in the bank. I love it. We were talking earlier about why we got into magic and stuff. I know for myself, I was just a kid when my grandpa West, he was an amateur magician. So he was like a fruit farmer. Mm. But then he also had a bunch, like a couple dozen little tricks and stuff like that. And I always remember whenever I came out, he would do some tricks for me. And man, I just remember the first time I ever saw a magic trick, and I'm sitting there going, this crap is real. This is awesome, and Grandpa knows it. And I was like, do it again, Grandpa, do it again, do it again. I was so just fascinated, even at like 4 or 5 years old, and he'd do these tricks, and, he'd be laughing and stuff. And they're just little cheesy tricks and stuff. But I just remember, I'd be like, do it again, do it again. I just wanted to see it, memorize it and stuff. Finally he'd say, oh, it's broke. And then when he'd go out into the orchard field, I'm like digging through and like figure out how it's done. But the cool thing is after time he started showing me some things, and I actually was able to work in a magic store in Mishawaka, Indiana. That was a fun time. You know, I was older at that time, but met a lot of incredible people and stuff. But one of the great things that, I mean, I personally love about magic is, for myself, I have a rare condition that happens to like 1 in 15 million kids. At least that's what I was told. I grew way too fast late in life. I didn't start growing until I was about 16 and a half, and I went from 5'2" to 6'5" in 1 year.
Ouch.
Yeah, 7 inches in 3 months. You know, so 2 heart attacks. Spent about 4 years in a wheelchair. I've had to learn to walk 5 different times. I've had surgery on both hands. 42 surgeries. You know, and still need a few more to go. But one of the cool things is I did over 500 magic shows from my wheelchair, and not once did anyone ever say, you know, it was the guy in the wheelchair. It was always the magician. You know, or the magician on wheels, you know, because that's what I tease and stuff. But that's one of the really cool things I really love about magic is that it can literally bridge the gap between every single race, language, everybody. It doesn't matter. You know, I've done magic for blind people, for deaf people, you know, for people that don't speak our language at all and stuff, and it's just absolutely incredible. Heard about this magician that was doing some walk-around magic in a restaurant, and so when they're done eating, you know, a magician walks up to the table. Would you like to see some magic? Like, sure. You do a couple tricks, they tip them, off they go. Well, this guy comes up, and there was this older couple, and I think they were having like their 50th wedding anniversary at this restaurant, and the magician comes up and he says, "Hey, would you guys like to see a trick?" And the gentleman, of course, he had a really great sense of humor. He goes, "Well, I'd love to see a trick, young man, but the problem is I'm blind." And the magician, because he was good, you know, and he had a good, you know, repertoire, and he's done magic so much that, you know, just right there. I love that. So he just says, "Well, why don't you help me with a trick then?" You know, which he's like, "What?" You know, what would you think of it? All of a sudden the blind is like guy who's like, "Would you like to do the trick then?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" You know, he's absolutely. So the guy said, you know, he says, "I'm just going to shuffle the deck," and he starts shuffling them up, and he tells his wife, you know, he says, "Here, I'm just going to start putting cards over and stuff like that, and just pull out any card and just hold it up to your chest." Okay, so he does that, and he puts it in the deck, mixes it all up, stuff. First he shows us his wife, right? Because wife was his eyes all these years and stuff. So he says, "I'm not going to look at it. We'll just show your wife." Okay, so he puts it in there, gives it to his wife. She's shuffling it up, gives it back to the magician, and he says, "When you feel your card, just say, 'That's my card.'" Oh, one thing he said to have his wife, you know, like kiss the card to put his, you know, so he knew it was hers. So he starts flipping the cards over, and all of a sudden he goes, "That's my card." His wife freaked out, you know, and she's like, "What?" And that reaction, you know, everyone at the other table like, "What's going on?" All of a sudden, just do it again. So blind guy gets again, you know, and all of a sudden everyone at the tables around are watching the blind guy pick the card.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the most beautiful things is, you know, the magician, of course, was forcing a card, but all he did is he says, "When you feel your card," and the only thing he was doing was stepping on his toe underneath the table. That's it. So he goes, "So when you feel your card," so the magician took the time to show the couple how the trick was done. And the cool thing is like months later, the couple came back to the restaurant, saw the magician, like, "Oh, we've been doing that trick to everybody. Our grandkids think we're the best, you know. Look, my grandpa can pick cards. Look, you know, he's blind as a backhand, but he can pick cards." And I was just like, I love that, you know. That's one of the fun things about magic. So
yeah, and that's what I come, you know, it circles back to is a good magician isn't cocky.
right,
You know, they involve everybody. Magic, I think it was Nietzsche that said, "A world without music is a mistake."
absolutely.
You know, you can put that with magic also. You know, a world without magic is a mistake. It's boring. If we don't find wonder and awe in everything around us, magic wouldn't exist.
Amen.
You know, I mean, how many of you go out to a store and walking down an aisle and say, "Oh, I can make a magic trick out of this," or, you know,
I'm that way with everything, man.
You know,
Everything.
and it's because we as magicians, yeah, we may know how the basics work. And once you know the basics, you know how 90% of the tricks out there work. We lose that wonder and awe.
Okay, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
When you go out to a restaurant, do you ever bounce the rolls?
Yes. And make the salt shaker flow. And
you got to explain what that is real quick about bouncing rolls. So when they come out with the big bread rolls and stuff, you go like this, and all of a sudden the bread roll just goes bouncing just like 10 feet in the air. I
Kids
cannot tell you how many times I've seen people come up and grab a piece of wham, just throws it on. Because when you go like this, you're of course just flicking it back up, but it looks so great if you practice it. So it's like I do bouncing bread all the time.
And I found that it's a little bit more conceivable since they can't see your knees.
Yeah,
it's either when you go down. You
Yeah,
either stamp your foot or you slap your thigh, because that audible noise,
it sounds like it hit the ground
and it comes back up.
Absolutely.
And you have to find that wonder and awe. I mean, I personally haven't lost. Magic is still magic to me. Anytime I'm seeing somebody perform magic, good or bad, I'm learning from it. And especially on a good trick. Like I was at the SAM convention this past January, and I can't tell you how many magicians I saw doing tricks that I knew. But there was a new kid, I wish I'd gotten his name, but he did a card trick that I've been doing for years, and he fooled me.
That's the best.
Because he took time to look at what he was doing. He's like, okay, this card trick's been around for ages. Yeah. How can I upgrade it?
That is the best part of magic, because you could do the same trick 1,000 different ways, a million different ways, because each performer does it differently. Different story. It might be the trick is, the same and stuff like that, but, just the story or however that you put it and stuff, that makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm. And to me, the story, the pattern, if you will, is what makes a great trick, Because if you can do the stupidest trick in the world, but if you put a good story to it, you'll fool anybody.
Well, it's not just the story also, and this is something that I tell a lot of new magicians as well. You have to come up with a character. One, you have to decide what kind of magic you want to do. Is it going to be close-up? Is it going to be street? Is it going to be parlor? Is it going to be stage? Then once you find and focus on which avenue you're going to go down, you have to find the character. Mm-hmm. Because without the proper character that you build, one, it's not going to translate well to the audience. And because they're going to see that you're uncomfortable in that character, that, if you're uncomfortable with it, change characters. Because what that's going to do is, one, it's going to focus your energies into picking the right tricks.
On that note, I got to tell you this. I've got severe ADHD, really bad and stuff. So it's like, that's one of the reasons why I've never written out my shows or anything like that, is because I saw this one magician, like when I first started doing magic, it was like, it has to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect. And I would practice it. It was like so perfect that, people kind of get like frustrated and stuff. And then I would see some comedy magicians, like, oh my gosh, when you see somebody like David Williamson or Matt King or, Michael Finney and
even, comedians like Steve Martin.
Oh, jeez, that was the best.
His whole Flydini,
I love Flight.
The simplest flipping magic on the planet.
But without even saying a word, just the looks that he gives, it's just like you can capture that. And that, to me, is where the magic comes in. So it's like, whenever I do a show, I would never, because like I'd have such a bad, I'd be like, it depends on what I want to do at the time. Yeah. So I would literally just pack a ton of magic. I was like, guys, I don't know what kind of show we're going to get, but it should be fun, know? And I just throw stuff out. And that's when my shows, for me and for the audiences, really, really became fun. And I think that's, one of the benefits of when you really put the time in to really become good. And it's like you could do one trick 100 different ways and fool them 100 different ways, and then you could really start taking some of the simplest stuff. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I have fooled magicians off of a trick that everyone knows how it's done, but I just do a little bit different. Everyone's like, right. What the crap? It's like, I love that.
Yeah, and it comes down to, your character's built based off of your ADHD.
And if my show's not good enough, I learn hypnotism so I can just hypnotize them.
Or you say,
I did the best show you've ever seen.
You can always do the hack line of, if you like my show, my name's Craig. If you hated my show, my name's David Copperfield or something. But I see so many of the new magicians coming out and not having a character. And, I tell so many people, when you're getting into magic, it's just not learning a trick. It's, take acting lessons, take mime lessons.
I don't understand why Hollywood does not hire more magicians as actors. They've seriously the best actors. Yeah. So one of the things I was talking in the camera coming out when I was driving out here to come see you, because tell everybody what you have going on here. This is awesome.
I'm almost 50 years old, and
you old son of a bitch.
Yeah, I'm getting.
Wait, I'm 50. I can't say that. Never mind.
But I always said that I don't see myself doing a lot of touring and things like that when I hit this age. And over the last 10 years, I've really thought I'd like to pass my knowledge on to younger generation. And I just didn't know how to do it. And about 2 years ago, actually it was a little bit longer than that, I was performing at Salt Lake Comic-Con, now FanX. And
gotta be politically correct nowadays.
I do. After I was done with the show, this is the funniest story. These two parents are literally dragging this kid up to see me. And, total wallflower, shy as all get out. And he, they come up, they finally get to me and they're like, our son wanted to see you. And I was like, oh, great. Where is he? And he stood in front of me and he was literally like this. Great show. That quiet. Mm-hmm. Couldn't hear him. And so I just shook his head. I was like, oh, thanks for being a fan, and kind of forgot about him. And about 18 months later, I was performing down in Provo. And this kid comes running up to me after my show, grabs my hand. Great show. Loved it. It's nice meeting you again. And blah, blah.
Same kid?
I had no idea who he was. And then I saw his parents. Same exact kid.
So what happened? What was the difference?
Well, another magician here in Utah, he started up a school with the Discover Magic curriculum. And what this curriculum does is it teaches life skills, communication skills, and social skills, cleverly disguised through magic lessons. And this kid he advanced from, I think he was in the Green Wand at the time, which is about the midway point. And, it completely blew my mind, the 180 that this kid had done.
I love that.
And he went from, his parents told me that he'd gone from I think they said it like a C, D student to an A student. Because by taking these lessons, it completely broke this kid out of his shell.
That's the best.
And, I was like, well, that's kind of cool. And, I asked him, where did he take the lessons from? And he said, let's see, he goes by Jason Fun. I want to call him by his real name, but it's Jason Fun. Utah Valley, Utah Valley Magic Academy, I believe is what it's called. Okay. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool, and, but with my work at the time, I still couldn't get into what was all the school is about. And about a year later, I was really determined to start teaching kids, but I didn't want to come up with my own curriculum because I'm kind of lazy that way. And I surfed in the net and I came across Discover Magic, and that name just kind of stuck in my head from when I met this kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends up that a local magician here, Brian South, got with another magician from the East Coast, Michael Rosander, and then Michael Marr, and they created Discover Magic because Michael Marr was tired of seeing what he calls his screenagers. You know, everybody's focused on their phones, never looking up, not really socializing, and they created this whole program. And you know, as I'm reading the website, I'm like, wow, this is what I've been looking for. And so I contacted Brian, and you know, he told me a little bit more about it, and I went out, got the licensing for it, and started my own school, which is Salt City Academy of Magic and Performing Arts. And I'm right on the verge of opening my doors and getting my own students. And
do you have a website?
I do. It's www.
Put that right there or something like that.
Yeah, it's www.saltcityacademyofmagic.com. And
you can make checks out to Chad West, payable to Chad West.
You know, but this has 4 wand stages. If you think of it as like a karate belt, it starts off with purple, goes to green, goes to orange, and then now they have a blue wand. And each stage, it starts off really, really basic, and each wand gets a little bit more complicated as they go. And they're learning character skills. They're learning social skills.
So more than just the magic trick, but
right.
really learning how to be a magician.
Right, how to be a magician, how to look people in the eye, how, you know, they're learning, even though we're not STEM certified, they're learning how magic works, so it fits in with STEM. Yeah. You know, it's an incredible system, and we're worldwide now. And
I love that.
We have magicians in Canada and New Zealand and in Australia, in Philippines. You know, we're all over the place now, and each school has the same thing where we teach the 8 traits of a magician, which is, you know, everything that social skills is, you know, because social skills is a lost art. You know, I remember when I was in elementary school taking social skills lessons.
Absolutely.
They don't
remember that.
They don't
even have that now.
Yeah.
And look how awkward the kids are now.
Yeah. You know, and I mean, at least here in Utah, more and more students are starting to homeschool.
Yeah.
You know, so that it's really a lost
especially with all the timing with the virus.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And, you know, so this is kind of a need that people are starting to see.
Absolutely.
And the funny thing is, I mean, this is geared toward 8 to 12-year-olds. And I'm getting more and more adults that want to take the classes because they're recognizing that these skills will help them in their job.
You know what?
And
I've got some experiences with that as well. In fact, one of my partners in my production, you know, company with everything, his nickname's Pac-Man,
mm-hmm.
you know. And the first time I met this guy, I was doing a life coaching lesson, you know, as a keynote speaker and stuff. And there was a couple hundred people there. And, you know, after I was done with the seminar, I came up afterwards and I introduced myself to this guy. He literally sat right across the table from me, didn't even look me in the eyes.
Yeah.
And, but you could just tell, like, he wanted more, you know, he wanted this. And it was just one of those things, I just reached over and I just grabbed him. And I promised, I was like, I was going to push you harder than anything else. I'm never going to pull a punch on you. You know, it's like, now he's my business partner and he's like, he does motivational speaking and stuff. And this is all within 5 years. To see somebody at his age, literally within, you know, his 40s, going so shy and not even looking me in the eyes, to now he's one of my business partners. And, you know, he's usually my cameraman, but since I'm out in East Bumble freaking Egypt, Twilla. No, but you're going to hear Pac-Man a bunch of stuff. He's a great guy. But no, I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much. So, all right, brother, as we're going through and doing some more videos and stuff like that, would you be open to joining us again?
Oh, definitely.
Doing some magic with us and stuff. And we're going to invite a lot of magicians on here and stuff. You know, again, one of the things that I wanted to bring to this is, you know, a conversation with the masters. You know, somebody that has taken the time that has mastered a skill, whether it's plumbing or construction or something like that, or whether it's a doctor, or whether it's a teacher, or or a magician or whatever, somebody that has mastered something. It's like, I've always been amazed at the things that you can learn from other people. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things I've learned here is that everyone has a story.
Definitely.
Everyone. And the person that doesn't take the time to learn from somebody else, those are the fools. It's like, when we were talking earlier about, you always look at, anyone that says, hey, let me show you a trick. You go, absolutely. I remember this kid coming up to me. He must have been 10, 11 years old. And I remember he came up and he was doing a trick for me. And he goes like this. He says, pick a card, like, for example, just doesn't matter. Okay, and you could show those guys it doesn't matter what kind of trick of stuff. But he goes like this, and when he sets it down, he goes like this, and he like gets so embarrassed, nervous, everything, because in his opinion, he just messed the whole trick up. What I saw though was just mind-blowing to me, because I've never seen anyone do this. And here's this 12-year-old kid, or whatever age he was, and I was like, that was beautiful. And I came up with all these different tricks. And so when I came back and I was showing him his trick, he's like, how'd you do that? I'm like, you taught me that. He goes, I don't know that. And I was like, you remember that time you showed me this trick? He's like, yeah. And I said, this is what I saw. Remember when you thought you messed up? I was like, this was the secret move I saw. And then I showed him. He's like, oh. I mean, all it was is just, if you take a card and, he just dropped it down. So it just creates like this little, so you can just pick it up, and then he just cuts it over, and then, brings it. Just something so simple.
Yep.
But to this kid, it was just like, oh, I did that. Just see his kid just beam and stuff. Those are some of the things I love about this. So once again, give everyone your website and tell everyone, classes you have coming up or anything like that.
The next class is, the registration ends May 26th.
Okay.
The class starts June 17th.
The website? And
it's www.saltcityacademyofmagic.com.
Okay.
And you can register there. I'll also be putting up freebie classes that are real basic magic up online that you can go in and when they're available, you can register for those as well. But the each wand course takes 8 weeks, and then the 9th week we have kind of like a little recital type thing. But yeah, it's a cool little course to take, and it's open to anybody.
Excellent. Thank you again so much for your time. I
appreciate
it. I can't help it. All right.
Okay, so this effect, I did my senior year in high school, and this is a true story. I went about 3/4 of the year doing this trick, and I never had to pay for one lunch ticket. And the only reason why I went 3/4 of the year doing this, I had to stop because the teachers were saying it was gambling, so I had to stop doing it. But the cool thing about this is I'm going to be showing you how it's actually done as I'm doing it. So Chad, go ahead and shuffle those cards for me and cut them until you feel it's completely fair.
You got it.
Okay, so the one thing that you definitely need is 52 cards. It will not work if you do not have 52 cards. This trick was actually invented by a magician that was part of Mensa. I don't know his name. I don't even know the name of the trick. I just happened to learn this along the way of all the years that I've been doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top card, lay it down, and then from that card I'm going to count up to 13. Now the other thing is I do not like face cards, so if I flip up a face card, I'll use the next card as the number I'm going off of. So here I've done the number 3, so I go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now I'm going to continue to do this until I can no longer count to 13 or I run out of cards. So like face card, I don't like that. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. face card. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 10, 11, 12, 13. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 6 piles. Okay, Chad, what I want you to do is point to 3 of the piles.
Any 3?
Any 3.
All right. Let's go with this one, and that one.
So this, and this.
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to gather those up. And that leaves us 3 more piles. Point to 2 of them.
The 2 outsides.
These 2.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a 9 and we have a 3. Chad, I'm going to count your math skills. What's 9 plus 3?
12.
Very good. So we have a 9 and 3, which comes to 12. So I'm going to lay down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cards. I'm going to add 10 to that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lost count there for a second.
Okay. Which
leaves me 1, 2, 3 cards. Now, this is where I'd always win on the lunch ticket because I'd say I have 3 cards here. I'll bet you a lunch ticket that top card's a 3. They'd give me the lunch ticket, and of course, they would lose.
Suck, man. That's awesome. Right. So you were just doing a trick there about a way that always got you a free lunch. So I have something similar. It was one of those things where you would do that. If you did this trick, you never, ever ran out of money type thing. So you want to definitely look at this down here, Craig. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Just go ahead. You could just pull out any card you like. Doesn't matter. There's actually a couple, different ways of doing this trick and stuff like that. Yeah, don't let me see this. I've seen this trick before, okay? I'm just kidding. All right, so here's what we're going to do here. Is we're just going to kind of give a little cut and everything like this. So I'm just going to kind of, here, I'll do it this way so you can see. All right, can you see your card in here?
Maybe in that pile that's bunched up.
All right, cool. Well, here's what we're going to do, okay? You remember your card? I'm just going to start flipping cards over just like this, okay? You remember what your card was, right?
Yep.
Okay. Don't forget, or it kind of like ruins the trick here and stuff. By the way, did I tell you to count?
No.
I didn't?
No.
Crap. All right, give me number 1 through 10, quick.
8.
8. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. $20 says the next card I flip is your card.
Sure.
All right, here we go.
Let's go.
You lose money when you'll never be without money on that trick.
One of those street hustles.
I know. That's when you smack them.